Welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Randy. This is Randy Rex, and I am here to talk about all of the things that I love when it comes to movies and TV, music, comics, and everything in between. So, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my all-time obsession right now, Survivor. We're going to get all caught up on what happened in the last episode of Survivor 42. Next, I'm going to talk about all of my shows that I caught up on over the weekend. So that's going to be Big Brother Canada 10 and the finale of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 14. I also went to the movies. I went to AMC. I went to my local AMC and I saw Everything Everywhere All the Time. It is a super fun movie. So different, but so I loved it. It's so much fun. It's so crazy. It's like a multiverse movie. So I'm going to talk about that. And yeah, let's get started. Survivor. We finally got over the hourglass twist. We're in the merge part of the game. This is the last stretch of the game into the end. And I picked 6 people that I wanted to win and that I thought could win. So as of right now, there are 10 players still left in the game. And last episode, Chanel was voted out. So that is one of my 6 people that I picked to make it that far. So out of the 5 remaining castaways, I still have half of them are still my picks for winners. But I was thinking about it. I was going through the whole cast. This is a really good cast. I would be happy if any of these final 10 won. Would I be more happy if some people win? Maybe, yeah. But like I said, I love them all. Even Tori, not to say it like in a bad way or like Tori is a bad person. I've always liked Tori. You can look back at these videos where I've talked about how I like Tori. Even though, I don't know how I would say it. Even though she wasn't always like the way that they showed her on the show, the things that they were showing that she did, I wasn't always like a fan of that. It wasn't like my, and yeah, granted it was against people that I enjoyed or people that I was really rooting for, so maybe, it gave me that. Anyway, that's very exciting. It's just such a good show. I can't get over how much fun Survivor is. And I was listening to a podcast recently where they were talking about how okay, so this is season 42. Every year since the beginning of the show, they've always had 2 seasons a year. So it's been around for over 20 years now at this point. And at the beginning of the series, in the podcast, they were talking about how they would cast, it's supposed to be like a microcosm of the real world. So they would cast these roles from the real world. They would try to have this mix, this big mix of different types of people in different walks of life, but that and love, that you can relate to. Whereas now they cast people where they're really extraordinary, and to get on the show you have to be extraordinary. And it's weird because when you think of someone like Romeo, he's the perfect example where it's accurate. That is so him. And on one level, even maybe this is me because I'm also gay, but he has that, how do I say this? I lost my train of thought. Where his extraordinariness comes from, is the way it was presented on the show is rooted from the perspective of him being gay and him being El Salvadorian. And maybe, again, that's why I say maybe it's because I am also gay and I'm Hispanic. I can relate to what he's going through. So for me, it's it's not that it's not extraordinary, but it's not that it's mundane, but it's just something that I wouldn't classify as extraordinary in the sense where the podcaster was talking about, But do I find, like, I do think he is extraordinary, but for different reasons. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. So and it's true, like, and it's just the way that they edit the show and the way they do their confessionals and the way they dig in. And I think that they are getting so much better, and I just wish it Big Brother could follow suit. Like, this is such a great point for me to make right now, because like all of this that I'm talking about with like the castaways and the way that the show presents them and the story that they tell and the edits they're getting, Survivor is like, oh my god, this season has been amazing. Season 42 has been an amazing season, even with all of these crazy random twists that they had in season 41. And you know, season 41's a great season too, but like this season is just so good, and the cast is so good. Like I said, like any of the 10 that are left could win, and I would be so happy with that. Like, I just love their stories, I love their motivations, I love their way they're strategic. So speaking of winners, speaking of contestants that I would be happy winning, right now Big Brother Canada 10 is in their final 5. After this week, it's going to be the final 4. And then at some point between then and next week, they're going to lose one other person. And then it'll be the final 3 for the finale of next week. So that's ending soon. As of right now, we have Kevin, my favorite, Helena, my second favorite, and then over here we have Betty, my third favorite, Josh, my fourth favorite, and here is JC Lynn, who I don't know, she's not the most strategic person, but I would be so happy if Kevin won. I really do love Kevin. I would be like thrilled if Kevin won, and then I would be super happy for Helena, but a little bit less than Kevin, just because like Kevin is so different. He is so swarmy and kooky and crazy and different and strategic and charming and off-putting and offbeat, quirky, handsome. I love Kevin so much. He's such a great Big Brother player. He has done some crazy shit, but you know, I would definitely put him in like category of like, if he wins with like a Dan and a Will and a Derek, but so we'll see what happens with that. Summer was evicted, which is sad. It was funny. She was pissed. She got evicted on the triple eviction with Marty and Gino. So it went from 8 to 5 real quick. The ending of RuPaul's Drag Race was pretty good. I was very happy with the winner. I think Willow Pill 100, 1,000, 1,000,000% earned and deserves the title of RuPaul's Drag Race. You know, next superstar, drag superstar. I hated the finale. I hate the format of the finale though. Like, we went into this finale with 5 contestants. It was a final 5, and RuPaul even mentioned it. She's like, oh, this year we have a historic final 5. And then so they all 5 put on a little show. RuPaul chose the 2 that she wanted to like basically be the top 2 and lip sync against each other. And that was Willow and Lady Camden, and they both deserved those spots. But it was just so annoying and time consuming. And like, I don't know, I just wish they would go back to like a final 3. Because even now they do a final 4. I'm like, that's just too many. Let's cut it down a little bit. But I'm so happy for Willow. And then lastly, I did go see Everything Everywhere All the Time. I don't remember where I had been seeing commercials for it or advertisements, but just in the few that I had seen, I'm like, oh, I want to see that movie. And they called it the ultimate multiverse movie. I was sold. You can't use that word and like, you know, not have me hooked. And it was a good movie. It's a science fiction movie. about this woman and her husband who own a laundromat that is failing. They're being audited by the IRS. On the way to the IRS, the husband, they're in the elevator and he puts his umbrella up to where the camera can't see. And he's talking to the wife, telling her about how he's not her husband from that universe. And he is there to try to help her. I don't remember. It was just such a crazy, trippy movie. And so, like, they end up doing this thing where, like, they can jump between universes to, like, what would have happened, like, had their life gone differently. Like, one big thing for the main character was, like, she left home at a certain point with, like, her husband. And, you know, they started that business. And then, like, in one of the different universes, she didn't go with the husband. She stayed with the family. She ended up becoming, like, rich and famous. So, you know, that's just one example of, like, all of these different lives that she had or could have lived. And, you know, so throughout the movie, they're jumping through all of these different universes. And it's just super fun. And I highly recommend it. Well, there you have it. Thank you for tuning in. At some point, I'm going to be back on here to talk about Moon Knight and the Real Housewives, and I'm going to keep you up to date on what's going down in the Big Brother Canada Tin House, and I'm going to let you know what's going on in the island in Fiji with all of our survivor people. Who knows what other things are going to pop up by then. Hopefully I'll have seen the Thor trailer, but only time will tell.